Do you dream of jumping into your own private swimming pool after a long day of homesteading? Who wouldn't? But is adding a swimming pool to your homestead a good idea, or is it a giant financial mistake? We've recently started our own homestead after spending decades of living in cities. One very small reason that we decided to look at rural property was that our neighborhood would not allow us to have a swimming pool in our backyard, so we began looking at country property because you can pretty much do whatever you want out here. The farmhouse that we decided to purchase came equipped with a huge 30-foot above ground swimming pool, and we were so excited. We instantly thought about how great it was going to be to cool off after a long day of gardening and about the tan skin we would have from lounging around floating in the pool. Now, I look at swimming pools the same way that I look at fish tanks. They can be a lot of fun and they're beautiful when properly maintained. But that right there is the key. They require maintenance. And just like fish tanks, I think people look at swimming pools and get excited of the idea of a pool without thinking through the amount of effort it's going to take if you own one. Now, I had maintained fish tanks in my old suburban life, so I knew all about keeping water balanced and how quickly things can go south if you get lazy with your maintenance. But the thing that I severely underestimated was the amount of time and effort homesteading was going to require. Now, let's think through some of the common homesteading chores that you're going to have to deal with on a weekly or a daily basis. If you've got animals, that may include opening and closing their shelters on a daily basis, feeding them, watering them, and cleaning out their stalls. If you maintain a garden, those are going to require your attention daily. From your soil amendments, weeding, pruning, planting, harvesting. If you've got substantial acreage, you're going to be mowing every week, which could take up to half a day or even a full day, plus all your equipment that you've got to maintain. So look, on a homestead, you've got a lot to take care of. So before we start talking about everything it's going to take to maintain a swimming pool of this size, let me know down in the comments. Do you already have a pool on your homestead, or are you just thinking about adding one? And do me a big favor, if you're enjoying this video, please click the like button so it can spread to more people. So let's talk about what it's going to take to maintain a swimming pool. On a daily basis, you're going to have to check and empty your skimmer baskets, and if your pool is uncovered, you're going to have to manually skim the water every day. So at least once, if not twice per week, you will need to be testing your pool water. You'll have to add chlorine on a weekly basis, and you'll also have to shock your pool every week, which is adding even more chlorine. So at least once per week, you're going to have to vacuum your pool. And after you drag out all of your hoses and get everything hooked up, this is going to take over an hour. You will also need to brush your pool once, but ideally twice per week to help from algae building up on your sidewalls and your stairs and creating a giant mess. Now, don't be like me and assume that owning a swimming pool means the only chemical you have to worry about is chlorine. You're going to have to balance pH, water hardness, alkalinity, bromine, and cyanuric acid. You're going to end up becoming an amateur chemist if you don't want to be swimming in green water. You're going to be watching the weather forecast even more than you already do as a homesteader, because after a big rainstorm, all that rainwater can throw those chemicals out of balance. And speaking of chemicals, when you're just getting started, they can be really expensive. Now, there are some solutions to some of these headaches that I've talked about. You can get a robot vacuum to do some of the maintenance for you, but those can be rather expensive. Well over $1,000 for a good one. And now I completely understand why they have a thing called pool boys, because maintaining a pool is a lot of work. So you can hire somebody to do your maintenance, but I believe they typically operate in a city. I don't know how many pool services that actually come out to rural properties, but check your area, I guess. And you might be shocked when you see your first electric bill and see how much juice a pool pump really pulls, because you need to be running that at least 8, if not 16, and some people run their pump even 24 hours per day. So let's say you just want to take a quick dip, 10 minutes after doing some homesteading chores. You might end up talking yourself out of it, because if you don't want to jump into a freezing swimming pool, you'll probably be keeping a solar cover on it. And those covers can be heavy and cumbersome, taking them on and off just to get in the pool for 10 minutes, that you might find yourself just not getting in the pool at all, because it's not worth the effort for a quick swim. Another bad thing about trying to keep a pool on a homestead is that they require your attention when you are the busiest. So in the springtime, when you need to open the pool, you might have animals having babies and you're trying to get your garden going. At the end of summer, the pool's going to have to be closed down for the year. And that's when you're harvesting your garden, trying to do canning, and probably trying to get the rest of your homestead closed down for the winter. Time is my most precious asset, and it's probably yours too. So all the time that I spent vacuuming and brushing the pool, running to the pool store for more chemicals, I was thinking about my homestead chore list and how I'd rather be out in the garden doing some weeding or everything else that it takes to maintain a homestead. Without a doubt, I spent more time maintaining the swimming pool this past year than I did enjoying it, which is why we've decided to get rid of it entirely. After I thought about all the time and money I would save by not having to maintain the swimming pool, it was a no-brainer. And it's kind of sad. This thing we were so excited to have by moving out to the country, we can't wait to get rid of. It just doesn't make sense to have on a homestead, at least not for us. Now, this doesn't mean that you shouldn't get a swimming pool. If you live in the country and don't have a homestead to maintain, a swimming pool's probably not that bad. And if I was still living our suburban life and just had pool maintenance to add to the chore list, it would be no problem. But on a homestead, I think it's different. Before you go and buy a pool, think long and hard about your homestead chore list, and also think about all the pool maintenance that's going to be required. Do you have room to maintain a pool on top of what you already do? And then look at your schedule. After doing all of that, are you even going to have time to enjoy the pool? Are you still thinking about getting a swimming pool? Or are you mad at me because I've absolutely crushed your dreams? If you enjoyed today's video, please consider subscribing to our channel and check out this video next for more on homesteading.